A new front in a troubled sea examining recent Yemeni naval attacks. The Red Sea, a vital artery of global commerce, has become increasingly turbulent in recent months. This waterway, which sees the passage of millions of barrels of oil and countless cargo ships, is now a hotspot of conflict and tension. A series of audacious naval attacks attributed to Houthi rebels in Yemen have targeted American warships and supply vessels, sending shockwaves through the region and beyond. These attacks have not only disrupted maritime traffic but have also heightened the sense of insecurity among nations relying on this crucial route. These strikes, employing sophisticated weaponry and tactics, represent a significant escalation in the long-running Yemeni conflict and raise profound questions about the shifting balance of power in the Middle East. The use of advanced missiles and drones indicates a new level of capability and intent from the Houthi forces. The attacks, which began in late 2024, have exposed the vulnerability of maritime traffic in one of the world's most strategically important waterways. The Red Sea's narrow passages and heavy traffic make it a prime target for such disruptive actions. American officials have condemned the strikes as acts of aggression and vowed a swift and decisive response. The rhetoric from Washington has been stern, emphasizing the need to protect international shipping lanes and maintain regional stability. The Pentagon has deployed additional naval assets to the region, including destroyers and aircraft carriers, in a show of force intended to deter further attacks. This deployment underscores the seriousness with which the United States views the threat and its commitment to safeguarding its interests and allies. The attacks have also highlighted the growing sophistication of the Houthi rebels, who have demonstrated an ability to strike at targets far from Yemen's shores. Their increasing proficiency in using advanced weaponry has caught the attention of military analysts worldwide. The weapons used in the attacks, including anti-ship missiles and explosive-laden drones, are believed to have been supplied by Iran, which has long supported the Houthis in their fight against the Saudi-led coalition. This connection has further complicated the geopolitical landscape, drawing in more international players. The attacks have raised fears of a wider regional conflict, drawing in the United States and its allies in a direct confrontation with Iran. The potential for a broader war looms large, with significant implications for global security and the economy. The situation remains highly volatile, with the potential for miscalculation and escalation high. Any misstep could lead to a rapid and uncontrollable spiral into broader conflict. The international community has called for restraint from all sides, urging a diplomatic solution to the crisis. Efforts are underway to bring the conflicting parties to the negotiating table, emphasizing the need for dialogue over warfare. Shifting sands: why AFRICOM, not CENTCOM, is the target. The geopolitical landscape is constantly evolving, and recent events have highlighted a significant shift in focus from CENTCOM to AFRICOM. This shift is not just a matter of geography, but a reflection of deeper strategic considerations. The recent Yemeni naval strikes, while geographically situated within CENTCOM's traditional area of responsibility, send a clear message to AFRICOM. The security landscape is changing, and traditional boundaries are blurring. These attacks are not isolated incidents but part of a broader pattern of increasing volatility and unpredictability in the region. This strategic shift is driven by several factors, all pointing towards a more interconnected and volatile security environment. The lines between different areas of responsibility are becoming increasingly blurred, necessitating a more holistic approach to security and defense. Firstly, the attacks highlight the growing reach and capabilities of non-state actors like the Houthis. These groups are no longer confined to their immediate geographic areas but are capable of projecting power far beyond their traditional strongholds. Their ability to project power far beyond Yemen's shores, potentially with external support, challenges the conventional notion of geographically confined conflicts. This new reality requires a re-evaluation of existing strategies and a more flexible approach to dealing with such threats. This has direct implications for AFRICOM, whose area of responsibility includes strategically vital waterways like the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, increasingly vulnerable to such asymmetric threats. The security of these waterways is crucial for global trade and regional stability. Secondly, the targeting of AFRICOM underscores the changing dynamics of power projection. By focusing on AFRICOM, adversaries are signaling a shift in their strategic priorities and testing the resilience of U.S. and allied forces in new and challenging environments. By striking at U.S. assets operating under AFRICOM's watch, the perpetrators send a message not just to Washington, but also to regional actors in East Africa and the Indian Ocean Rim. This is a calculated move to exploit perceived vulnerabilities and create a sense of insecurity among U.S. allies and partners. This suggests a calculated attempt to exploit perceived vulnerabilities in inter-command coordination and test the resolve of U.S. partners in the region. The ability to coordinate effectively across different commands and regions is crucial for maintaining a robust defense posture. Finally, the focus on AFRICOM could be interpreted as a strategic move to avoid direct confrontation with CENTCOM, known for its robust military presence and rapid response capabilities. By targeting AFRICOM, adversaries might be seeking to achieve their objectives with a lower risk of immediate and overwhelming retaliation. By targeting AFRICOM, the perpetrators might be aiming to inflict damage and sow chaos while minimizing the risk of immediate and overwhelming retaliation. This approach allows them to test the waters and gauge the response of U.S. and allied forces without provoking a full-scale military response. This deliberate targeting of AFRICOM signifies a dangerous precedent. It highlights the need for a more integrated and adaptable security approach that can effectively address the evolving nature of threats in a multipolar world. It underscores the need for a more integrated and adaptable security approach, one that transcends traditional geographic boundaries and effectively addresses the evolving nature of threats in a multipolar world. The future of global security depends on our ability to adapt and respond to these new challenges with agility and foresight. The long shadow of Tehran-Iran's influence and regional alliances. The specter of Iranian involvement looms large over the recent Yemeni naval strikes. While the Houthis maintain their independence, their ties to Tehran are well documented, and the sophistication of the recent attacks suggests a level of external support. Iran has long provided the Houthis with weapons, training, and logistical assistance, viewing the group as a crucial proxy in its ongoing struggle for regional dominance with Saudi Arabia and the United States. Iran's support for the Houthis is part of a broader strategy of asymmetric warfare aimed at undermining its rivals and expanding its influence across the Middle East. By arming and enabling proxy groups like the Houthis, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and various Shia militias in Iraq, Iran can project power and threaten its enemies without directly engaging in conventional warfare. The recent naval strikes, if indeed orchestrated or supported by Iran, represent a significant escalation of this strategy. By targeting American warships, Iran is sending a clear message of defiance to Washington, demonstrating its willingness to risk direct confrontation. The attacks also serve to bolster Iran's image as a regional power capable of challenging American hegemony. The international community has condemned Iran's support for the Houthis, viewing it as a destabilizing force in the region. The United States has imposed sanctions on Iran and individuals linked to the Houthi attacks, seeking to curtail Tehran's ability to finance and arm its proxies. However, these measures have had limited success in curbing Iran's regional ambitions. Echoes of Latakia, drawing parallels with Syria's naval conflicts. The historical context of these maritime clashes provides a lens through which we can better understand the complexities of current naval engagements in the region. The recent Yemeni naval strikes against American assets in the Red Sea evoke unsettling memories of Syria's own maritime clashes, particularly the 1983 bombing of the U.S. Navy barracks in Beirut and the subsequent shelling of Latakia. These events, though separated by decades, share a common thread of regional instability and the ever-present risk of escalation. While geographically and contextually distinct, these events offer valuable insights into the potential trajectory of the current crisis and the risks of escalation in a region already fraught with tension. The strategic importance of these waterways cannot be overstated, as they serve as critical arteries for global trade and military operations. The 1983 Beirut barracks bombing, attributed to Hezbollah with alleged Iranian backing, demonstrated the devastating potential of asymmetric warfare against seemingly invulnerable targets. This attack not only highlighted the vulnerabilities of conventional military forces, but also underscored the influence of non-state actors in shaping regional dynamics. The attack, which killed 241 American servicemen, exposed the vulnerability of U.S. forces operating in volatile regions and led to a period of heightened tensions with Iran and its allies. This tragic event served as a stark reminder of the human cost of geopolitical conflicts and the unpredictable nature of warfare. Similarly, the shelling of Latakia by U.S. warships in retaliation for attacks on American vessels in the eastern Mediterranean showcased the dangers of escalation and the potential for unintended consequences. These retaliatory actions, while intended to assert dominance and deter further aggression, often risk spiraling into broader conflicts. While intended as a measured response, the strikes on Syrian government targets risked drawing the U.S. deeper into the Syrian civil war and escalating tensions with Russia, a key ally of the Syrian regime. The involvement of major powers in these conflicts adds layers of complexity and heightens the stakes for all parties involved. The parallels with the current situation in the Red Sea are clear. The strategic significance of this region, coupled with the presence of various state and non-state actors, creates a volatile mix that could easily lead to a broader conflict. The Yemeni naval strikes, potentially supported by Iran, demonstrate the willingness of non-state actors to target U.S. interests and the potential for such actions to ignite a wider conflict. These strikes are not just isolated incidents but part of a broader strategy to challenge U.S. influence in the region. The U.S., while seeking to avoid entanglement in another Middle Eastern war, faces pressure to respond decisively to deter further attacks and maintain its credibility in the region. The balance between showing strength and avoiding unnecessary escalation is a delicate one, requiring careful consideration of all potential outcomes. However, any response carries inherent risks. The potential for miscalculation or unintended consequences is ever present, and the stakes are incredibly high. Direct strikes against Houthi targets in Yemen could result in civilian casualties and further destabilize the country, exacerbating an already dire humanitarian crisis. The impact on civilian populations must be a key consideration in any military strategy, while retaliatory actions against Iran could provoke a wider regional conflagration. The involvement of Iran adds another layer of complexity, given its significant influence and strategic interests in the region. The U.S. must carefully calibrate its response, balancing the need to deter aggression with the imperative to avoid a catastrophic escalation. The decisions made in the coming days and weeks will have far-reaching implications for regional stability and global security.